coming up.
Oh, maybe me screaming like at the bar with some drinks online when I'm trying to also be a professional. It's a fine line, and I think it comes back to like, what agent do you want to be? Like,
welcome to the Subject Free Podcast. The unfiltered real estate podcast where 4 agents share real life stories from their careers in the crazy world of real estate. Now welcome Alan, Viv, Matt, and Adam.
okay, guys, welcome back to the Subject Free Podcast. We've got Matt, Alan, myself, Adam, and Viv here. And today we are going to discuss public versus private agents. And we've got 2 agents here, myself and Alan, who are, I would consider, quite public with our personas. And then we've got 2 stealth agents, which is Viv and Matt, who I would consider very, very private, almost to the point of not having a cell phone. Not naming names, but to my left, you might or might not know her. So we'll get into that. But how do we feel about our first podcast, guys? It was a trial run. Do we feel okay? Did we even watch it?
Pretty good,
Nope, did not watch
Did
it.
not watch it. Yeah, and that goes right on brand with the stealth realtor.
I gotta say too, thank you, Alan, for dragging yourself out of the hospital bed to make it here.
That's incredible.
It was you were a bit on the line there,
I'm here, I'm alive, and that's all I matters.
and you've got your arm.
I have my arm.
For now.
So, for now anyways, right? I can tell you this much. Luckily, it wasn't the right hand because, whew, sex
Because
life would have
why?
went.
For baseball, right?
No,
That's
you
what
did
you're talking
Baseball,
about?
for baseball.
You did mention that it was touch and go with the arm.
It was touch
Not
and go
joking
with a
around.
lot of things.
Yeah.
No, it was touch and go with the arm. I
Seriously?
actually almost lost my arm. They almost had to amputate it. So,
You're joking.
dead serious. I have a bleeding
What
disorder.
happened?
So,
Yeah.
it's called hemophilia. So what had happened when I tore the muscle, it kept pooling up with blood and it kept going. And it was to the point where it was 4 times the size. And it was pressing down on the nerves. And the nurses had to check my arm, check my pulse in my arm, make sure that like my fingernails wouldn't just stay white the whole time. And every hour they were doing that. I had to get 12 blood transfusions as well, just to kind of keep it going and make sure I have enough blood in my system. So there, at the point when it was the largest, it was like, hey, we may have to cut slits on each side of your arm to drain the blood. And if that doesn't help, we may have to take your arm.
Now, if that would have happened, would you keep it?
Like,
Oh my God.
I think I would,
Yeah.
Because I mean,
It would be hard to let go of. For me,
Yeah,
I would
it
think.
would
yeah,
actually
yeah,
let go
like-
of.
So what, you keep it in a freezer?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think in a case that you'd put in the center of your home, be like, that was my arm
Yeah, right
in the
above the
glory
fireplace.
days.
Yeah.
you guys
Put
are
a baseball
saying,
or something in
sure,
the hand.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Maybe the
saying
last
it
thing
like
you pretty
it's
much did with it.
so
Well, because what's the
bad.
alternative? What,
Yeah.
do you have a funeral for the arm?
You throw it away. You're not dead.
What do they do? What do they do with body parts? Do they incinerate them? I think.
Can you donate that?
I wonder if I could, like,
No, it's a dead body part at that
Maybe
point.
I could commission
That's
it
like,
if
you
they're
can't
fast
keep it.
enough.
but maybe I could commission it to like movies and stuff. Hey,
Yeah, or
right,
just
make
bronze
some
it.
money off it.
You know, like human body parts, they deteriorate, right? Like
Yeah, but
they
if we
don't-
can find some way to preserve it,
Embalming.
yeah, let's
I guess-
embalm it.
pick.
You know, not gonna lie, like I'm pretty proud of my arms.
got an aunt that does
right now
jams
they're
or
not
anything,
good. They've
you know?
shrunk because I haven't been able to work out in a month. But I thought my arms were a very valuable quality for me, right?
Well, luckily your
Sure.
mouth still works, which is important for this podcast. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're happy to hear, and
Holy
a
crap.
little shout out to our man Jamie Wagner, who was in
Yeah.
a motorcycle accident last night, and hope he feels a lot better by the time this gets aired. I'm sure he will, but broke his pelvis in 2 places, which is very brutal. So, big
Ouch.
shout outs to our man Jamie. Hopefully
Jamie,
you
hope
feel
you're doing
better.
well, buddy.
Yeah,
Get well soon. Let's. Anyways, well,
Let's get into it. So we've got 2 of our, I call them stealth agents. I don't know if that's the right term or whatever, but 2 private agents with Viv and Matt. And then Alan and I are more online. If you see this podcast, it's probably because Alan and I have posted about our reels.
Yep.
So that's might be how you stumble upon this podcast. But I would like to talk to both of you first, because I'm just interested in what the thought process is on not being a realtor that is out there like a lot of realtors are. Viv, maybe you go first.
Well, you know what? It is all about content creation, and I'm just too lazy for that. And plus, I don't know what to put out there. I've seen, of course, because we surround ourselves with other agents, my feed is full of you guys. And I was like, well, everything's been done before. They've already, done this or done a first time, what to do when you're a first time buyer, what to do when you're staging. And I was like, oh God, it's so repetitive if I do it again. So let me just not do it.
But don't you feel like, so if somebody wants to know about you, let's say they get referred to you, do you not feel like they're going to look for you online? And if you're not online, they're going to go, oh, why? Like somebody likes her, but obviously I don't know this person at all. Do you feel like that's a loss for you?
It could be. Honestly, I would never really know, but it could be. But I have reviews online, and then I still have, social that my team helps me maintain.
Do you? I mean, just listed. I don't know if that includes that's social.
Here's the
sure.
thing, hey, Adam. Here's the thing, though. She doesn't need any more business.
Well, and
She's
true.
killing the game. What she's doing is working.
Yeah.
I mean, people like you and me,
we got to hustle.
we got to hustle.
Yeah.
Vivian's like, I'm the queen.
That is not
Come.
Okay,
Right?
for the sake of my team, though, I did tell them we're going to start it because they're a lot more social than I am. And now it's just like, okay, well, I got to do it. If you're going to do it, I have to do it. So it's going to happen.
So is it for marketing? Is it for lead gen? Like
Lead gen,
probably.
probably.
You're going to use it for lead gen. So, I mean, and we'll get into what Alan and I kind of do, but what will you do with lead gen then to find clients?
I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, and that's what I think it's hard
just
to
show
do.
up.
Yeah, they just come, right?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the trick. Like, there's two things about, I think, being online, and if you can do both of them really well, that's the key. Is one, market yourself. So if somebody does want to know who you are, they can go up onto your Instagram and be like, okay, I get this guy's style, vibe, whatever. And then the second, which I think is the hardest, is the lead gen side of things, which is really difficult to do because as you said, there's a ton of people out there that are doing videos online. That doesn't mean that, you're going to just do a video of how to list your home and people are going to flock and go, oh my God, thank God you posted that because I've never thought about doing that real.
Never find this information.
Never find how to sell in 50 seconds online. Of course that's been done time and time again. So Matt, maybe I'll ask you the same question. Why nothing? Because you are I would almost say less than Viv. I can't even find you online.
I think his last post was 62 weeks ago.
Yeah.
About 4 years.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you're not even a just listing.
And I've
guy.
never posted anything about real estate.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And what was the thought process behind it?
Well, I don't know that there was a conscious thought process, but I think you and I, and I think Alan, we grew up, you're a bit younger, but we grew up in the era where you still hit adulthood, well before there were smartphones or anything. Yep. So I look at it and I look at having a phone in my hand and talking to it like there's an audience of people there, like I'm a complete knob if I do that.
Mm-hmm. And a lot are, to be honest. Let's face it.
It just seems so stupid to me. Ridiculous.
I get that aspect. I mean, back in our day, not that we're old or dinosaurs.
We're kind of in the middle, though, right? We're in the age of the internet, but we also grew up. Our childhood was not with.
We grew up without the internet, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember when the internet came, and that was huge, and I didn't understand it. There's web pages, there's stuff out there. Can I grab it? What the hell's going on? That kind of hurt my arm. Sorry, I'm not going to do that anymore. But I mean, we grew up in that age. It's nobody had cell phones. Mm-hmm. People maybe had pagers. Those were usually the drug dealers in high school, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. So then if you couldn't get a hold of someone right away, you're probably not getting a hold of them for the entire day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then I remember waiting by the phone for my girlfriend to call, and she didn't call, and I was like, what the hell's going on? And
He's still waiting for her.
yeah, she never called me back ever. I've been waiting. It's been 28 years. No, but it's one of those things where I get it, right? And after even people with their online dating nowadays, online dating blew my mind. I tried it once. I'm like, I feel like it's a perverted 50-year-old man talking to me. It's you can't trust it. So I get it.
Which is probably true.
Well, I mean,
Which is probably true.
I've got a friend. She's not in real estate, but she runs a couple of businesses, and she tries to be very big on social media. I think wants
tries
to be,
to.
Well, I think she wants to be an influencer. So she's giving it her best shot. And she's always doing like 2-camera, hey guys, things to on Instagram. And it's usually like in her kitchen, and you can see her kids like sitting at the kitchen island in the background. And when I see that, the only thing I can think of is the kids have to be looking at her going, what the fuck is she doing?
Yeah.
Really? Like,
But
we're
they're probably
fucked.
used to it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they grew up in this society.
I know.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But
if
to
they're
me,
gonna
like
think that.
doing that in front of your children is just so embarrassing.
Yeah.
But imagine doing it in front of your grandparents. They're
that's
not going to have a clue.
Yeah.
Like, this person's gone insane.
They're like, they're talking to their radio.
Yeah.
But don't you feel pressure? Don't you feel like when you see a bunch of people doing it, don't you feel that pressure of like, well, then what am I doing to...
He's not a sheep.
Well, but no, but it's natural. When I see people doing more stuff than I am, which I don't do that much, I do enough, but not that much. I feel like, shit, I got to really like up my game here. Then that's doing something. You know, are completely silent online. So...
You mean in terms of real estate?
Yeah, in terms of...
Oh, if that's what it took, I'd just go do something else.
You would just... There's just no world that you
Wow,
would do.
really?
Yeah.
Like,
Really?
you wouldn't even consider.
No.
And is that a personal thing for you where you're just like, I don't want to put like my kids and family and all that through the grinder of like showing who they are online?
I just don't want my kids and family looking at me going, what a knob.
Right, right, right.
Gotcha.
No, I mean, really what it, I don't think of it. When I'm doing anything, my first, second, third, fourth, fifth thought is not, hey, I should grab my phone and
Let everyone know. what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing.
and jump online and do that.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm not going to do it. I'm 43 now.
Yeah,
You know, if I'm not doing it by now, I'm not going to do it.
yeah, yeah.
I'm surprised then that you're doing this. Like,
Yeah, the
this,
podcast.
The podcast.
I mean,
with cameras. We didn't want cameras on. To be honest. You
Yeah,
and
the
I did
cameras are
not
actually a
last
surprise.
I guess this seems more like television from when we grew up.
Yeah.
You know, that you would record something in a studio. That to me is at least legit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we don't look like knobs.
Yeah.
basically.
But it's also,
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
true.
I think the aspect too is that it's conversational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're actually having real conversations as opposed to something scripted. You're holding your
Yeah.
phone. Hey guys, I'm at this listing, blah, blah, blah. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is like, hey, we can all laugh, we can make jokes, but we're talking about serious topics as well, right?
Yeah, this isn't like as personal. I mean, it is because we're talking about personal things, but it's not like tell me about your family, tell me about your kids. What did you do yesterday? Like, you know, there's a level that we can kind of maintain with this. As much as we'll get into some, you know, unfiltered talk about real estate, it's really strictly about real estate, and it's in a conversational setting, which helps a lot. So
And I just don't want to contribute to the downfall of civilization by saying, hey guys,
yeah,
one more time on social media.
honestly,
I get that.
I think we have to get rid of the hey guys, and I do it like every single video. And if you look through all my videos, everything is hey guys. I think I just posted 5 seconds ago, and it was hey guys, and it's just I can't hear myself say that one more time. So,
But you will.
yeah, but I will.
Yeah, but
I will
you
because like, what's the other? The hey everybody. You know, it just all sounds weird. Hey guys, just sounds. But it's
What about just hi?
hi? It sounds like hi. You know, it just hey guys.
Sound
I
like a
don't know.
Japanese girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heritage.
Yeah, exactly. Alan, so let's switch to you. So you've made it, obviously, and you're probably out of the four of us the most comfortable or post the most online. When did you make that decision that, hey, I'm going to do this, I can do this, I like doing this, and it's going to help my business?
So just from everything I've seen with marketing and every different company, business I've worked with, marketing was key. Marketing dollars spent, you know, PR reps, all this stuff. Every business, even when I was in the music industry, it was like, how much are we going to spend on PR? How much are we going to spend on marketing and promotion? So obviously when you're, you know, starting out, you're like, okay, I don't have the money for that. Social media is free, right? You just got to build your audience. So I took classes. I learned how to do this effectively, how to do everything. And then the biggest realization I had lately was that, hey, I've been posting a lot of stale stuff. There's nothing or stagnant stuff where it's not really movement, and video is where everything's going. And what I've also learned is that people research you and they look for who you are as a person. You become your own brand.
Yeah.
And if they try to look you up on Instagram and they see stagnant photos, they don't really get to know or get a sense of who you actually are.
Yeah.
Right? So when I moved to a more kind of video content strategy, I've seen what everyone's doing. And to Viv's point is that, you know, it's all been done before. It's all been done before. And if you look at my Instagram, whole profile, I try to do things a little bit different because I'm sick of that stuff.
Yeah, you've got a creative angle to it. For sure.
Like, I mean, one rule I have, and people may steal this, they may not, but it's like when people are talking about new rules coming on to, to real estate, I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and just talk to the camera about new rules because I've seen 80 other realtors do that already. Yeah. So light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, I'm going to have a conversation with my dog. So my dog's going to ask something more dumbed down about this topic, and I'm going to just relay the message through my conversation with my dogs, right?
Yeah.
So that's an aspect that I don't think anyone's touched. So
tell me, like, the results of that. Have you noticed that? I mean, you've really changed your brand a lot in the last, I would say, I don't know, 6 months or so.
Yeah,
have you seen results from doing this?
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, anytime I do anything social media, I never expect the results to happen right away.
Yeah, fair.
Right? Because a lot of the people who follow you are people I already either know or have met somewhere. And then they'll follow you. And they don't really ask you right away, hey, can you help me buy a home? Hey, can you help me sell? They watch what you're doing.
Yeah.
They watch you. And finally, maybe 8 months, a year down the road, they'll come to you. Mm-hmm. Right? And for example, this one guy who approached me, he's like, hey, man, we actually went to high school together. I was in your brother's grad class. And he's like, I got so many friends who are realtors. I'm a mortgage broker. But he's like, I've been watching you online for like a while now. And he's like, I don't want my friends to sell. I want you to sell my place and my parents' place. And I'm like, oh, crazy. He's like, yeah, and my best friends are realtors. So, and he's like, just because I love your content, man. You're creative. I see your marketing. I see that you can actually do a different spin on promoting my home in a tough market.
Right.
So stuff like that, I think, is very valuable. You see, what people's capabilities are, and then can you actually work with them? Their personality. Can they actually be a good fit for you to hang out with, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing mainly for social media. It's more my personality now instead of just the just listed, just sold, which I still think are important because it shows that you're doing business. Mm-hmm. But I think it's really important to actually show who you are as a person.
Yeah, and it goes back to brand, and that's what Sharon, the president of Real, talks a lot about, is like building your own brand, and your brand of today is your database in the future. And
100%.
Because like you said, a lot of people don't see a video and they go, I want that guy to, but they watch, they follow, and then that's a perfect example of somebody saying, hey, I think you can do a better job than my friend who's a realtor because I see what you're doing and it's different than everybody else.
Exactly.
I fell into it a little bit differently. So when I started in real estate, and you mentioned a little bit too, it's, you don't have a lot of money when you start in real estate because you don't make money at the beginning, but you have a lot of time. So I was doing these Friday morning agent opens, which was basically like 10 to 12. You could go into an open house for agents, look at the place. If you have a client for it, great. And so I was traveling to Maple Ridge at the time because I had one of my first listings out there. And I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk a lot, who's a guru in this space. And he was talking about document everything. So I was going into these agent opens and I was like taking videos, and I would show like silly stuff as well too. Like if there was a human bust in a bathroom, I'd like take a picture of that and be like, oh my gosh, like look at this decor. And stuff.
Human bust?
Bust, yeah. Like every men, women, the whole thing. It was like, okay. I mean, that was one of many, many examples. But I would document, and people would engage with me because people like going into people's homes. Like, let's face it, there's HGTV. It is. But there's HGTV for a reason. Like, there's not like financial advisor TV because nobody cares about people's spreadsheets or mutual funds, but there's HGTV for a reason.
And to add to that, Adam, I think people like to see the personal aspect too. Because
totally.
I mean, this is something that's been going on for many, many years. Like an example I always use when I'm telling people how valuable social media is you look at someone like Ashley Simpson. Okay, nobody knew who the fuck she was. Her sister, singer, good-looking girl, sells some albums. Ashley Simpson was about to release her own album. Nobody knew her as a singer. She was like an actress on Small Parts or whatever. But because they did a reality show where she was in everybody's living room, right? She was like primetime reality show. Yeah. Everyone felt like they knew her. Yeah. So they felt obligated to buy her album. And she outsold her sister in 1 week, basically. Yeah. Had high sales. So I think it's just being present on there and seeing you enough and knowing that you know what the fuck you're doing, knowing that they know your personality, that's how they feel obligated to work with you instead of choosing somebody else.
Yeah. And on that point, like I had people that were friends of friends that I had added to Instagram, whatever, and they reached out and said, well, you seem to be more active in real estate. Like you seem to know the downtown market. I have a downtown condo I'd like to sell. Like they have friends in real estate, but can you sell it? Because I feel like you're more engaged with what's going on in the market. And that's free. Like when you're a new agent, you don't have any money. So you're looking for any advantage you can possibly get, especially if you're completely solo, to do business. And so from there it went, oh, there's like something here with these little like snippets. And then I feel like it's just grown. And now I feel like I'm well behind like yourself and others that are doing social media. But really it came down to like just these like little agent opens that I found, oh my gosh, like people want to see this stuff and it helps engage. And I could sell business. Like I probably sold, and it's not a huge number, but in the amount of time I've been in real estate, like 150,000 from my Instagram with no paid ads, just people like reaching out and saying, hey, you should probably, I need to buy, I need to sell, whatever. So there's really, for me, like the proof has been in the pudding. It's a long-term goal. And if you don't do it, it's almost like if you're going to do it, do it. And if you're not going to do it, don't do it, which is what you guys both have done. And you don't need to do it. It's just one of a billion marketing strategies 100%. For people out there, but it's kind of cheap.
Do you feel like, though, and this is from an outsider's perspective looking in, do you feel like, because I've noticed it change over since I started in real estate, where a lot of people were on Instagram, but it was still, I don't want to say new, but people were figuring out how to get their business, onto Instagram in a way that people might follow. And now it's a must, according to most people. And you feel like that now it's reached saturation point to where the content, you guys are talking a lot about content, that has to change now, right? Yeah. Because everybody is doing the same thing, like Viv said. So now a new level has to start where people are doing almost like scripted shows like HGTV, where they then release, it's not the lives or anything like that. It's more fleshed out content than just these throwaway, hey guys.
You got to cut through the noise.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. You got to cut through the noise. And it's like when I was doing Agent Opens, it was relatively like a novel idea. Like I remember going to the office at the time and people were like, oh, and kind of making fun of me a little bit because I was like doing these like little things because it was novel. And now that's like, everybody's doing that. It doesn't, that's nothing.
And here's the thing though, like I honestly, you don't see me very much on stories doing this and talking. And then when someone walks in the frame or close to me, I put it down because I'm still kind of embarrassed to do that, to be honest. Yeah. And it's like, I don't like doing that. So I try to get everything done by professionals recording and have an idea that I can just go with.
Yeah.
Right?
But you've done the business. You're a successful agent. You're making money. You've decided to invest in that. That's not easy for everybody to do, especially when you're starting out. So it's like, you're almost a transition from me to you where it's like, okay, now you start to have to cut through the noise because there's everybody that has a phone that can do it. So now it's like, that's why you did the CSI video, because it's like, let's go and do something completely different to stand out from the crowd. And so what's the next thing that you have to push the envelope to stand out? I don't know.
See, that at least I understand because, that I saw that video and it was great. And it holds people's attention for a certain length of time. I just feel like these two camera things where they're just babbling, flip right by those.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
What's the two-camera thing?
It's kind of, I think it's kind of like
just holding the camera in front of your face and doing that 1,000 realtors do 1,000 times a day.
Yeah.
And with that, with more of a actual scripted video, you've got people on there watching probably for, how long was the video?
The video was 1 minute and 18 seconds, and I think the average watch time was close to 40 seconds.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Which is really good.
It's really good.
Online advertisers would kill for that.
Yeah, exactly. So it was high, and the responses were really good. There was some negative responses, which were funny,
Yeah, which were more funny.
Just old school agents who didn't get it.
If there was an agent,
Agents commented on
Yeah.
it.
an agent comment, I'll talk about it because I'd love to talk about this because it was hilarious. An agent commented on it
Who
that
was this?
nobody names. She won't be listening to this, I guarantee you. But an agent commented that nobody would ever buy a home that was in a crime scene.
Yeah.
And so it took the
But this isn't
video
a-
extremely literally.
Yeah.
And then Alan, I can't remember what you said.
My
back.
response was like, "Oh yeah, if someone doesn't know that this is a joke, then maybe they shouldn't be buying a home."
Yeah.
Right? It was something like that, and it was like very polite. And then she came back, and assholes remarked from an asshole himself or something like that. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "Lady, you better take a good look in the mirror because I'm not the one going on other people's account and criticizing their content."
Yeah, I mean, very old school. If you
Yeah.
look at her account, you'd go, "Oh, like this is."
That's like my.
Yeah. No, but she was like
No, not
digging
worse.
into me, and after I'm like, "Lady, like calm down. Like,
Yeah,
if you don't want to see it."
Is it on
Swipe away.
Instagram? Like,
Yeah, you can-
where,
Yeah, it's buried in the comments, and I was actually trying to highlight it to show it to someone, but I think I may have moved
You
it
should
down
just
the chain
screenshot it
more.
and post it.
No, I wanted to go into one of our opens,
Yeah.
and then with my CSI gun.
I mean, not everybody's gonna love your stuff, and that stuff that's actually more like
If you're,
humor.
if you're pleasing everybody, you're
Yeah.
doing something wrong.
Yeah,
You're doing something
exactly,
wrong.
exactly.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this podcast. Hopefully not pleasing everybody. And on that note, so let's kind of pivot it a little bit. Can you think of examples of maybe agents going too far with their marketing on social media?
Let's
a lot.
now turn to trash talk with Viv.
Yeah, Viv probably has.
Okay, we're
a
gonna
whole
cut that part.
Encyclopedia. I mean, and I'll go first because I kind of posed the question. I mean, there's too much. There's TMI, right? There's too much information that one can post. I think when you're starting to sell properties in your bathing suit, I think that's when it's starting
Who's
to
that?
get a little bit. I mean, I could probably name like half a dozen like that. But I think that's when, and men and female, by the way. But when you're starting to get a little bit too personalized with your sales tactics, it sounds there's a line between promoting yourself and marketing and self-promotion, and that's a really hard line sometimes for some people to understand, because at the end of the day, they don't know where the property should be sold and where they should be sold. So, So, I mean, can we think of any other examples of agents that have maybe gone a little bit too far?
I mean, I can't think any offhand because I always look at everything like, oh, that's a creative spin on something,
Right.
So I'm open to everything, even myself, to doing anything. But then I'm always really cautious of a few things, right? So obviously political
Yeah.
topics,
Politics is tough.
never want to bring those out,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
always tough.
Yeah.
And then after, obviously, racial stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You never bring racial stuff up, even though, I mean, some are jokes and they're funny and people should get that they're jokes.
You'll be canceled.
You'll be
Yeah,
canceled,
you'll be
Even
right?
I know what that word means.
Yeah,
Wow.
right, right.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it's like you want to make sure, and you also want to make sure that, hey, listen, if my mom watches this, will she be proud of me?
Right.
So I don't want to get to that point where she's like disappointed, because that's like, and I mean, I say a lot of shit and I do a lot of things. So far, she's still proud of me.
I had it once. I'll share a little personal story, and this was early days. And I think I was at a party, and I was doing real estate stuff on my Instagram
were you
at the
invited
time.
to
I know. This is how long ago it was. And I took a video of people dancing on a stage, and
What kind of
it
state?
was
Hold on.
not that, not Alan's stages, not where he goes, but just like it was a brunch party. They had those brunch parties back at like Parlor, I think, back in the day.
Yeah.
I think that's where it was.
Yeah.
And my mother commented to me directly and said basically like, you have to watch what you're posting online at all times, because it makes it look like, you're day drunk in the middle of the day and all this stuff. And like, there is a fine, like, and I thought
That
about
you
it.
see a lot. That you see a lot
of
agents out there having drinks and
Yes.
going to parties and stuff like that. And
And where's the line though? Like, is that inappropriate?
No, and that's that. I used to be
that's
very
you.
cognizant.
Yeah.
You just like to drink.
Yeah.
I used to be very cognizant in the beginning of my career of like not showing alcohol, not showing that, not showing partying. twofold reason why, because I had appointments the next day, and I'm like, ooh, if I come, like, I don't want them to think I came hungover to these appointments, first of all.
Let them find out for themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Smell it on me.
second of all, it's like you didn't want to deter anybody at that point because I was still trying to be everybody's realtor, right?
Right.
Now I'm a bit more loose with it
Yeah.
because I know who my niche market is and my clientele.
Yeah.
So I let go a bit more, but I'm still not like to the point where, you know, I'm at a party and like people are shooting heroin and stuff. I don't do that. Not saying that I go to these parties, but I would never like show anything that's above and beyond of what a professional should do, right? Like drinks here and there, celebrating with a client, perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to show like an all-night bender, right?
Right.
So
yeah, it's a fine line, and I think it comes back to like what agent do you want to be? Like who do you want your clients to be? Alan, you could be a little bit more maybe liberal with that stuff.
Yep.
And then maybe Matt and I, if we're dealing with like the families or whatever, it's a little bit less like, hey, I'm out like at a bar getting hammered right before your open house the next day, right? There is that line that has to be drawn, and sometimes it's hard to know where, like when you're stepping over it, because you may think at the moment, especially if you've had some drinks, that you're being, you know, it's just fine. This is my life. It doesn't matter. Like, you know, love me or hate me. But the next morning you wake up and go, oh, maybe me screaming like at the bar with some drinks online when I'm trying to also be a professional, like it's a blurry line. It's worse than like back in our parents' days, it was a face on a bus ad, right? Like that's all that really this was. It was like get to know your local realtor, you know, and
then
sit,
someone would draw on it.
and someone would draw
missing
on it.
teeth and
sit on
mustache.
it.
Exactly, you know, like
Yeah.
sit on their face and, you know, and away you go. And now it's like we have this access, and it's really a tough line to draw of like, you know, where do we stop, you know, where do we show, what do we show, when do we show it, why do we show it?
And that's what I shake my head with
Yeah.
social media with, because it's like, could you imagine if you were like up on charges and going to trial and you saw your lawyer out partying
Yeah.
on Instagram the
for
night
sure.
before?
For sure.
You know, and it's the same thing with your home, you know, worth $1.2 million or $2 million. And you're like,
100%. And I think you have to be cognizant of who your, you know, tribe or your crowd or your following is.
Yeah.
And you also have to be cognizant of what you got going on the next day. Because
Yeah.
honestly, like when I do post something of me celebrating with clients, I know my morning is pretty free.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not going to post when I have a big meeting in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I just know that if something goes wrong, already it's because you were drunk last night.
Yeah, yeah.
You never want
yeah,
to
you
be
never
in that
want
situation.
that. Yeah,
right?
that's tough. Well, there was a person in the business. I have to be very vague with this because I'm going to get a little bit more detailed than normal.
Who is this?
No. Well,
We'll ask this for everything.
well, we will discuss that offline because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. But there was a person in the business that was very public, and I know you're going to know who it is. That decided to really go on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and they had some legal trouble that they were in, and decided to go the opposite way, where I'm going to show everything. I'm going to get big into like the party scene. Obviously didn't show it, but you could kind of tell the drug alcohol scene.
Why? Who is this?
The
Do you guys
working
know?
I have no idea.
working out scene. A lot of posts about inspirational quotes.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh no!
Happy birthday to you.
Wow!
Happy birthday, dear Adam.
Wow! Thank you.
Happy birthday to you.
Yay!
Hey, wow!
Yeah,
Thank you guys.
sorry to cut you off.
Right in the middle of my
Now-
salacious
Now
story.
blow out the candles and tell us who it is.
Wow! Thank you guys.
Let's not
Yay.
show the price here.
So it is Adam's birthday coming up. It's not today, but it will be after this podcast.
Yeah.
Yes,
So we
by
just
the
wanted
time
to
it airs.
Yeah.
honor our fearless leader here for this podcast.
Thanks, guys. This is so unexpected. Right when I was throwing someone under the bus, too. It's like the perfect lead into my birthday.
There's
we
your
will,
off-ramp.
Yeah, we will share this afterwards. Thank you so much. Where was I? Anyway, so you could tell through talking with realtors, because we were all watching this person get like more and more aggressive, start talking about women, start talking about partying, and they had legal trouble, so they were talking about their upcoming court case that they were having, and it got
This was
like
a realtor.
No, but who is this?
I said they're in the business. I didn't say they're a realtor.
Mortgage broker, maybe?
Oh
Oh my God! I know exactly who you're talking
And it hits, yeah, and it hits. We will discuss this offline because again, we don't want to throw anybody under the bus. But it got to be a spectacle where I was messaging like 4 or 5 realtors at one time, going, "Can you believe that they're posting this stuff?" And like, "Can you believe that they just said that?" And can you believe like they're posting all of their dirty laundry? Again, there was legal issues that were very
They're big legal issues.
big
too.
legal. We're not talking like stole a candy bar issues. We're talking about like that could put you away for a very long time issues.
Is that what ended up happening?
Well, let me put it this way. I don't see them online at all anymore and haven't seen them online for a very long time. And I just went, there's a level of being able to show yourself as being real, which I think we all want to do online and be authentic. And then there's like just stepping over too much information. And that got to the point where like everybody knew what was going on in that person's life. And I don't think it turned out very well for that person. I don't know. I mean, now you know who it is.
Yeah,
So.
honestly, that person used to get a lot of my business.
Yeah.
And then right when that started and he started posting, or she started posting so much.
Nice head fake. Might as well just say a name now and just
this
come out with it.
person stopped getting my business.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't want to put my clients through that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, because that's a reflection of me. If I'm introducing someone, if I'm just like, hey, you should use X, Y, and Z, her, it just wouldn't look great.
Yeah. And this is a
couldn't
person
anymore.
that represents. So if that client that you referred goes on to that person's Facebook or Instagram, they can see everything that's going on with that person. And I really questioned. I don't think all the bricks were there with this person, but I questioned why that they went that far down the line of posting because it was, I mean, legal, all that stuff. It was salacious. And when I'm talking about it with like 4 other realtors, that's just me, let alone probably everybody else sharing that and so forth and so forth.
There's something similar that happened. This guy, he was on The Bachelorette US, and he was a luxury realtor, Chad Johnson. I don't know if anyone remembers.
I kind of remember this.
No.
Yeah, and he was like the steroid monkey, but did a lot of business, sold a lot of real estate in the US, and he was an absolute meathead and jackass on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And
No.
and because of that,
He got canceled.
I mean, here's
me
the thing though.
someone got
I don't know what happened, but you can see less and less of his like realtor style posts are on his website listings. And then now the last I've seen of him, he was filming porn on OnlyFans. So he went from luxury realtor to like going on this show, being a jackass, going on Bachelor in Paradise, even more of a jackass, and like wanting to beat up everybody on there, to now doing porn and not doing real estate.
But that's got to be a planned sacrifice, wanting to get into show business.
Yeah.
Right? Like
That's true.
I'm gonna burn my bridges behind me here to do this, but I'm gonna do it because I want to be on TV more than I want to do real estate.
But I think
I think some of the selling sunset people are the same
idea.
way.
Yeah.
Because you watch that show and you're like, who would hire these people for this level of house?
But I think that people go on those shows to also build their brand and awareness, right? So I think it just went really wrong for him because he had no line that he could draw of when he was being, respectful to people and when he was being an asshole.
Right.
And once you get the roid rage, I mean, there's no turning back. And then after it's all over TV. And I know, like, one of my good friends was actually on The Bachelorette. And he's like, man, it messes with your head because you're locked in this place with no outside connection at all. You can't look at your phones. You can't do any of that. And then after, even on dates and stuff, they lock you in a room and you can't be out there.
Yeah.
So you're secluded from the rest of the world. And it actually will drive you a little bit insane.
Yeah.
And you start to do things that you never thought you'd do.
But I think there is that vein in people now too, though, and even with the social media, even in real estate, where there's this little piece of them that thinks they're on TV.
Yeah.
That thinks there's this huge audience out there, and this is an episode of them.
They got to present themselves a certain way.
Yeah.
They just can't help themselves from being on there a lot and doing it because they think that they're now on TV or you know what I mean? Like they've got their own show.
Yeah, for sure. I see that. Yeah, for sure. But I think if you use it correctly, it can build your brand 100%. Like, and I've seen it. I've seen other people build their brands, and it it works, right? It's free advertising that you can utilize. Well, free to a sense, right? Once you start getting into production, then it starts to cost money. But I think it's a very valuable tool.
So if you had to, if you, because you're doing it probably the most out of all of us, if you had to kind of coach or mentor an agent to help them develop their brand, develop their presence, how would you start with them, and then where would you develop that into? What would you give advice?
Take us as an example.
Yeah.
Well, no, you know,
Yeah.
I actually
Alan.
have done this already with somebody, like this guy I see at the gym all the time, and we used to work at the same brokerage, and he was trying to get his social media going. And I'm like, so just giving him helpful hints. I'm like, man, like you're a young guy, you're doing very well. Like he's in his mid-20s and he's doing very, very well. And I'm like, man, to be honest, I'm like, you should be targeting like guys your age because where you live in West Van, your parents have a lot of money and they're probably giving a lot of their kids money to buy their first homes. And who's the realtors they're using? Probably their parents' realtors. Why can't they use you? You should target all your social media towards them, right? And just focus on them. Talk in their language, do things that they like to do, you know, because they're going to remember that and they're going to be, and then show how much you know of the business as well. Show your sales because they'll be like, you know, wow, this guy really knows his shit, but he's fun to hang out with. And you know what? I don't want to use my realtor, my parents' realtor. He's 65. Why would I do that? He's got a whole niche that he can go. And he's like, man, that's a good idea. So he started kind of going towards that path. And I think he's going to do really well with it because he's doing well already, right? So
it kind of comes down to the fundamentals of the business. And I talked about this in a mastermind this morning. It's like the niche marketing is so powerful because, and you can use social media or whatever, but like niche marketing plus social media, I think is great. I think with a challenge for agents, myself included, is like one, knowing who I am, like who is my tribe? Who are the people that resonate with me so that they want to use me, and vice versa, I want to work with them. And then the second part of that is like, how do I find them?
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, you could post all day, you get 1,000 views on a reel and yippity-doo. They're just people and how like 3 seconds and whatever, you don't know. So how do you go out and find through social media your niche? That I don't know yet.
Will they find you? Do you think?
Well, I think you have to be curated enough where they recognize who you are, they recognize that in themselves, and then they follow, and then you speak their language from that. And that's, I think, the real trick with social media marketing that I don't think many people have really found yet.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's about their interests too, what they do, right? So you got to be able to touch on that and kind of figure it out. Because I mean, with me, obviously, with my clientele, it's a little bit different, but I kind of know who I am and what I stand for. And then it resonates with a lot of people, which is great. Yeah. Right? So I just now changed my whole strategy as of like a few months ago, and it's really worked out really well because I'm just being more authentic, more myself. And it's like I'm finding these people who are approaching me more. And it's great. And then these people have been watching me for a while, but never really pulled the trigger. But then after, when you start getting into the nitty gritty of who you really are, I think that's when they started to come out of the woodwork.
So last question for both of you guys is, and this is putting you on the spot, but that's
You
what
want
we,
us to talk
that's
more.
what, no. But you see both of Alan and my social media. So I would like your sense of who Alan and I are through our social media. Now try to get rid of it's tough, but try to get rid of the what you know of Alan and myself personally. But you see our stuff, if we had to be what our niche was.
Maybe they haven't because they don't go on Instagram.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, maybe. What is our niche that you see on social media for both?
You go first.
Jiminy Cricket and Phil Dunphy.
That's pretty good.
If I had to be succinct about it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good. Right. Now, what do you mean by Jiminy Cricket? I don't quite know.
He pops up everywhere.
He pops up everywhere. Yeah, that's fair.
He's available.
All right, I like that. That's
I'm
very
open for business, baby.
And Phil Dunphy is pretty funny.
But
'cause I-
definitely that downtown
That's
vibe.
offensive.
That
That
is-
is straight up offensive. Phil Dunphy
But
is
it-
not a good realtor.
But I know exactly what you mean because there's a little bit of like that vibe.
The dorky dad.
Yes. The dorky
you know,
dad.
The
family,
dad jokes.
safe
Yes.
hands.
Yeah. That's I can see exactly. That's funny. That's
Like
good
worrisome.
because I'm getting a lot of Phil Dunphy like ads from the reels to me
Oh,
now.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's starting to like
Like
funnel in. I'm seeing it
it's
more and
using
more.
your own camera
Yeah.
to program your ads.
Like, wait a
now?
second, no, that's me. That's what I'm doing. Okay, Viv, same question for you. You have the benefit of time. What's our niche through social media?
It's hard because I know you guys so well. And I'm not going to lie, I don't watch half of your stuff.
Yeah,
That's fun. Oh my God.
I think honestly, it's exactly who you are in a mirror, right? It's the funny person who is very approachable, who's very knowledgeable, who's about our age and slightly a little bit, older, but very creative.
It's the nicest way you've ever said
I
it.
know, I'm trying really
She
hard.
bit her tongue so hard on like slightly a little bit older. That was like painful. I saw your face contort.
She's like,
by just being that
the
nice.
wheels were turning.
Yeah,
How do I be
normally-
nice about this?
Normally it's old man, grandpa, dad, all that
I
stuff.
thought Matt
but-
would take longer. I was like, okay, good. He's gonna give me some time to
Sorry.
think. And then it's like, I was like,
Fair enough. All right, guys. Well, that's the end of our podcast. Thanks so much for listening.
That
if you
flew
listen,
by again.
Flew by again. It
Oh my
always
God.
seems to fly by. But thanks for listening,
when you
and
listen to yourself
until
talk,
the next
yeah,
one.
it happens.
Yeah.
Until next time,
Until
guys.
next time.
next
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Subject Free Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, follow, rate, and review. Until next episode, we hope you're going in subject free.